Volfa! Only the best, only the worst. Welcome to the blank space, where we do stuff and things and fill in time with our mediocre voices.
I just wanted to see how long you'd go with that. it
Yep,
sounded
that's
it sounded like you were going with that.
no. That's all I had.
Okay.
How's it going, Drew?
Um. So, have you ever gotten the life advice? May you live in interesting times.
Um, yes.
I don't want to live in interesting times anymore.
Why?
Can I
Why?
live in a boring time? Can I live in a time where things just every day is not awful? Every day is just not the news saying something awful.
I am going to argue that your day is not as bad as you think it is.
I would argue that too. You know why?
Why?
Because we're recording today, and the podcast
That's
is
true.
my favorite day.
We have such unfulfilled lives.
Okay, alright, hold on. We're starting the blank space rulebook right now. Number 1, you're never allowed to make that noise ever again. That is rule number 1.
I'm glad I can participate in your nightmares.
Great. Just great.
I was an annoying child, so I got more voices than that for you.
I imagine you sitting down one day and watching Dumb and Dumber, and they do the scene about the most annoying sound in the world, and you're like, I found my calling.
You know, believe it or not, I did not like that movie when I was younger.
Really?
Yeah.
Wait. How young are we talking?
At any point.
Well, I mean specifically when you watched it. I don't mean you didn't like it as an infant.
I saw like the first few minutes of it, and I just walked out of the room.
You know the movie has funny bits to it, right? You should probably go
No.
back and watch it.
Yeah, see, like, there are things that are worth my time, and there are things that aren't worth my time. And you guess where that category goes for this one?
Worth your time.
You, sir, are mistaken.
So we're gonna have a movie night one night, and I'm gonna show you
You're gonna
Dumb and
watch more
Dumber.
Clerks.
Well, I mean, there's a sequel and a third movie being made, so yes, technically we can. You sound very excited.
Very excited, Drew.
How are
So
you?
excited.
How are you doing? I forgot to return the pleasantry.
It's okay, I know I'm not pleasant.
Well, good response, I guess. I guess.
I guess I'm doing okay, you know. I'm in the final exams of calculus, so my brain's kind of leaking out of my ears, so I'm having all sorts of fun, Drew.
I hear corks help with that.
Um, yeah, you would think.
I mean, you could stop the leakage at least. I know a person you can call about leakage.
Can we not talk about leakage?
Fine.
I feel like talking
I
about
won't help
leakage
you with
gets
your...
us in very dangerous territory,
What?
and it could easily go south
What are you
very fast.
I don't know what you're talking about. I have no idea. I think by the end of your class, you will have a big leakage problem. Some may say it's spewing leakage. Like your brain just coming out of your head
I
in a
am
rapid
uncomfortable right
succession. And I think you should address it before it becomes a problem.
Okay, I see what you're saying, right?
Mhm.
Right. I'm picking up what you're putting down,
Mm-hmm.
right? Right, and we're going somewhere else. So, yeah, that word at the beginning meant specters. You know why it meant specters, Drew?
Oh, hey, we made a left turn into a new topic.
Yeah, we did. Look at that. Good car. We're not staying out in the woods this time.
Why was the word of the day Spectre?
Because for
James
once
Bond?
we actually explained what the word was. That's amazing.
James Bond
Uh,
movie?
No. We're talking about
Spectre?
ghosts, Drew. Ghosts.
Isn't that a car? Spectre. Spectre. Car.
It's also a car from heavy metal. Anyway.
Perfect. Oh yeah, no, I'm just.
Oh no,
car
Twisted
chases.
Metal. That's what I meant. Twisted Metal. The other one's a very interesting movie.
Wait, what? Wait, say
You know
this
what?
again?
Okay, I meant Twisted Metal, which is a game. But
Yes.
Heavy Metal is a
Is a movie.
it's a movie that I don't recommend it being watched because I remember watching it and feeling sick.
It's the height of animation, though.
Okay, so you do know what I'm talking about. All right,
Yeah,
cool.
I think I've seen it. I'm
Like,
not
I
going
think
to.
I watched a bit of it, and then I just kind of got sick watching it. And then I stopped.
Well, put it
It's one of the
down.
few movies that I've actually walked away from. One of the others being Wolf of Wall Street.
And apparently Dumb and Dumber. You have a track record of doing this. Like me personally, I can only say I actively told myself to stop watching one film. While in the span of 10 minutes you've named 3. Also, you walked away from Wolf of Wall Street.
I walked out of the theater. Like, midway through. It was like, wow, this is going to keep on going, isn't it?
I may derail this whole topic list we have just to hear why you walked out of Wolf of Wall Street. You know what? We're putting everything on hold. Why did you walk out? I would love to hear this.
Okay, so, like, I just kind of found, like, all the sex stuff, way too gratuitous. And, like, that's... First of all, you know me, right? Like, I don't do previews at all, right?
Don't?
No, Drew, you forget how oblivious I can be when I go into a movie, let alone a podcast.
I mean, I'm thinking though, like, why previews? Why like trailers? Why do you hate them?
See, no, I don't hate them. Like, I watch a few. Like, I'll watch one, and then I'll be like, okay, that's all I need to see this movie, and that's going to determine whether I go see it or not, usually, right?
Mhm.
Or if I hear from reviews of people it's good and stuff like that, right?
Right.
Well, at the time, I was dating this very Christian girl, right? And we went in together to go see Wolf of Wall Street.
Oh. You weren't a fan of the debauchery.
Yeah, snorting crack out of a hooker's asshole, not exactly the most pleasant thing to watch on the big screen.
Firing a tiny person out of a cannon. Wait, did they or did they throw him? I think they threw him actually.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was
but
George
basically, it honestly, it kind of grossed me out. I was like, well, this isn't what I wanted to pay money for, and we kind of just both walked out. Also, the trope, right, where where like the girl kind of covers your eyes, right? Like how that's a trope sometimes done.
Yeah.
I didn't know it was real.
She actually did that?
Yeah, she did that. That was funny as shit.
Huh. That's interesting. Well, okay. Do you think if you came back to the film now with a different set of eyes, you would watch it?
No, honestly, to me, I really just don't enjoy the whole, like gratuitous sex and like all that kind of stuff. Like it's not something I really want to go for, when I go to a movie. You know what I mean? Like it's just something I'm not really interested in when I go see like an actual movie kind of deal. So yeah, I just didn't really I just didn't enjoy it really. It just wasn't something that I could really get into.
Yeah, it's. I guess I can see that where if the idea of the monumental amount of debauchery and like things they get into that movie, it seems to gross you out or to make you uncomfortable. That certainly is understandable, but
As I understand, that's kind of the point of the movie too.
it is. That's kind of the point, is to show what gross amounts of wealth did to these people.
Mm-hmm.
And
I mean, I didn't walk away from that thinking any of these people were like living a great life. It seemed miserable, actually.
No, and I mean honestly, by the end of the movie, everything goes terrible. Like it's not a happy ending. It's not like they do that until they're 80 and then die a happy, fulfilled life. It's not a super positive movie. But I guess in a way,
I mean, I can agree with that.
yeah, I
But like, see, like the thing is, right? Like the movie worked too well for me, right? Like it was to a point where I was just like, this is just unpleasant at this point, you know?
Hmm.
You know?
I guess I'm just at a little bit of a loss for words, only because I really haven't met someone who actually feels that way about that movie. Like, I've met people who watch like horror movies and eventually say like, "Oh, the gore was too much," or like, "Oh, it was too violent for me."
Mm-hmm.
But like, I guess too gratuitous is new for me. I I guess I can see it though. Like, I definitely don't think that movie is for everyone.
Yeah,
But
like it's just kind of it got to the point where it's just like, well, this has been going on for a solid 40 minutes now, and I'm just
there,
it's like, wow, this is just straight up uncomfortable. I am not enjoying this.
all right, all right. We will disagree, but I will respect your opinion.
You don't feel like you can there can be in movies just like too much of that stuff.
Um, it
Because like I'm fine. Like,
depends.
see, the thing is, like I saw Watchmen, right, and that was fine, you know, right?
Watchmen I wouldn't consider as gratuitous. I would consider
Well,
it
yeah, you know,
over
that's the point though.
stylized.
That's the point though, right? For me, like I don't enjoy gratuitous stuff like that. Like I don't enjoy like Eurotrip type of movies. You know what I mean?
I mean, I haven't seen the myself, but you didn't enjoy it? Well,
I
I
mean,
guess I don't know entirely why you would because I haven't seen it. But even still,
well, yeah, it's like all those kind of movies, those types of movies. I've always just been like, this is just sex stuff, you know, for the sake of like getting dudes hard in a theater. This is just weird. Like I don't know why you would go out with other people to watch this. Then
well,
again,
the point I would make is that I don't have a problem with it on principle. Like
okay,
seeing it in a movie, there's entire genres of movies made about doing this one thing, and they're called
uh huh,
exploitation movies. They're basically movies made to shock or to just push a boundary or something like that. Um, I guess where my problem comes in is when it's done poorly. It's
okay,
not the idea itself. The idea itself is great. That's why I like Wolf of Wall Street so much, because it
okay,
shows the downside to all of this and it tells a really interesting story the whole way through.
mm-hmm,
But I can see easily a movie just doing what Wolf of Wall Street did and me hating it. Or me thinking like, "Oh, you guys are just doing this because you wanted to, not because you had a purpose for it."
yeah,
Um
I get you.
like if the story wasn't so well written in Wolf of Wall Street and the characters weren't so fleshed out, it would feel like the movie definitely was made because somebody behind the camera or behind the director's chair was like, "Yeah, what if we just made a movie where just we did all this crazy stuff, where we just showed it to people?" And
Well,
I
yeah,
would
I
have a
get what you're saying, right? Like, I definitely saw that there was good story behind A Wolf of Wall Street when I was watching it, right?
mhm.
But like, for me, just like the the gratuitous action that was in there was just so overbearing in in the movie itself that I just couldn't sit with it. It just was just kind of like grating on me towards like just halfway through the film. And once I was getting like onto the 40-minute mark, I was like, well, hasn't changed. I don't really want to. I don't want to spend, you know, however more time this movie is sitting here watching this kind of deal, you know. And I feel like it may have gone on just a bit too long, I guess, to where like it was unenjoyable for me, right?
Mhm.
Even just like on a narrative basis, like I couldn't just sit down and keep going just because like I don't want to keep sitting through all this kind of deal.
I guess where my opinion differs is that it felt like a progression to that.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't feel like shot one of the movie where doing coke off of a lion's ass and throwing and I don't know, throwing Molotov cocktails at like poor people below us or something like that. It didn't feel like a crazy setup in the beginning, and then the
Oh yeah,
ramp up
yeah. You're
to it
right. You're right.
definitely
You're
got
definitely
there.
right about that.
And
You definitely see like his slow like roll into it kind of deal, right? How it gets worse and worse and worse and worse and worse,
and
and how his life becomes more meaningless and meaningless and meaningless. But like, it was so hard to watch, right? That I couldn't keep watching, right? That's basically how it was for me. Like I couldn't keep watching it just because of how hard it was getting to watch.
yeah, and I'm saying I'm coming from a different opinion where the reason that that stuff happens is because it is showing what his character is kind of getting himself into further and further into the story. I see it as character development. While like some of this stuff is buck wild, it's crazy, it's insane.
Yeah.
It has a purpose to it, and
Oh yeah, yeah.
And
Like
I mean,
it did. Okay, you know what? I feel like I'm coming off wrong, right? I definitely see it has a purpose, right? But I'm just not comfortable with its purpose. Okay, I think the way the film was done correctly, right? Doesn't mean I can still sit down and watch it though, right?
right? And I'm not arguing you at all. Like I'm not arguing
Okay.
like you and your. I was about to say you and your morals, but that sounded way too high perched. It it's basically you have your set of what you see as what you want to watch, and that's what it comes down to really, what you want to watch, because it's not like somebody has to force you to sit you to watch this, and everyone has different tastes. I I'm looking at it from the sense of what is this saying about the character, and you were looking at that as well, but you were looking at it also in the sense of your own morals. It's saying
Mm-hmm.
like this is not something I want to actively sit in a theater with people and watch, or even by yourself and watch. I don't know. It
Mm-hmm.
this
Yeah,
is gone.
that's about right.
This has gone from talking about why you don't like Wolf of Wall Street into me being like, you can have opinions. You do you.
You're not wrong. That's kind of what this is. This is what's gone into.
Yeah, and believe me, I'm not gonna like say like, oh, you're wrong for having that opinion.
I
I'm
mean,
just
you can.
I would be wrong in saying that though.
Okay. I'm just all right.
But I mean, I'm just trying to explain where I'm coming from as well. Is that I don't I don't see it as like a perversion thing. I don't see it as like, well, the filmmakers really wanted to do this. Well, maybe on some level they really wanted to do that, but
Mm-hmm.
it had a purpose to it, so I was okay with watching it. Now, would I sit
gotcha.
down and watch this with my family? Probably not. I don't think I'd sit down and watch this just with my mom right next to me.
That'd be a
But
pretty awkward day.
but I would be up for watching this movie otherwise.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
I'm picking up what you're putting down.
Yeah. But
So,
how about we get back to the actual topic we wanted to talk about?
yep. Yeah. So
Spooks.
spoopy, scary ghosts. Ooh. Yeah, that was a diversion of the topic. I'm cool
Just
with
a
it,
bit.
but damn.
Just a little bit. So,
I like that happens. It makes me smile when it does.
just a heads up for the audience, if this is a continuation of last week where we talked about the black tapes, and
Yeah, follow up.
actually following up, much to my begrudging. The entire pre-show, I was like, I don't want to talk about it. We have a trend. We have a thing. Never talking about the thing we say we're going to talk about. You just kind of drag me kicking and screaming into this topic.
Yeah, Drew, I'm just saying, Drew, that's what I do for this entire podcast.
Drag me kicking and screaming.
And you just kind of sit down once you're there. And I'm cool with that. I don't have to force you down. You just kind of accept it once you're in your chair.
But this is a continuation on last week where we talked about the black tapes, and which the black tapes deals with the supernatural and ghosties and goblins and ghoulies. So,
Yeah, we're not actually continuing on talking about the black tapes. We're talking about the themes, basically, right?
Right. We're gonna be talking about not the content of the show, but like the themes of the show and what they talk about on the show.
Like, for instance, Drew.
Yes.
Yes.
I didn't know what my prompting was. Yes. How can I help you?
Good sir,
Welcome to
do
Costco.
you
I
believe
love
in
you.
the supernatural of ghosts?
So we're just we're just swinging big first, right?
I mean,
We're starting out here.
Yeah, that's where I kind of want. Did you want to start somewhere else?
I want to start at, like, I don't know, Wendy's. That sounds pretty good. Oh, Pizza Hut. Pizza sounds good.
Yeah, no more pizza. I have regret pizza in front of me right now.
Um,
It was good for one bite, and then there was regret.
I will gladly take all of your regret pizza, but that is
go
not
ahead.
the
It has
question.
Romano cheese and pepperoni and bacon
Ugh.
bits that I don't know why I put on there.
Pepperoni. All right, you asked the question,
Yeah, I did.
and here's where this this podcast gear shifts.
Ooh,
I genuinely don't know.
okay, that's a fair stance.
I feel like on some level I do believe there is some kind of supernatural, or at least power above us
Okay,
thing. Not getting into religion or God, just simply like a world beyond our own.
okay.
But I don't quite know what, or even if that is a thing.
Mine depends on what I've been listening to.
If you've been watching a lot of X-Files, you're gonna be like, oh shit, the aliens have already been here.
No joke. Like after I watch like a season of Ghost Hunters or like any of that crap, right? Like I am more susceptible to believe that ghost exists. But I feel like as a general rule for me, you know, when I'm not in that mode, right, and I'm like, oh wait, reality's here, right? I'm kind of the idea that it's possible. I mean, I don't really see anything to disprove it, but I haven't seen anything to really pull me in, kind of deal, you know. So
Yeah.
I'm kind of halfway there. Like I don't think like you know, like a ghost is gonna like get me in the middle of the night kind of deal or anything like that. I don't really think like there's any spirits kind of walking about kind of deal. I mean, but I guess it's possible kind of thing.
Yeah. And I'm kind of the same boat where I'm like, I certainly think, I don't think there's going to be a giant spooky monster in my closet that's going to grab me in the middle of the night. But
Like I don't think if I can be possessed or anything like that. Like I don't really think that.
it feels weird to me. There's two sides to this coin. One is we've had stories in the world, in civilization, as long as humans have existed, of spirits or ghosts or all these kind of things. And
Yeah.
I understand the meaning of myth, which is to explain things that we don't understand, and usually they go for the fantastical, the supernatural. They go like, oh, why do we get rain? Oh, well, Zeus was angry today, so he hit a cloud, and a cloud poured water on us. But at the same time, a lot of civilizations came to the same conclusion without a lot of prompting.
That's fair.
It's not like we all got together one day at the Tower of Babel and was like, hey, do you hear about these ghost things? No, what's this ghost thing? Oh, man, you should... It's crazy. When you die, you become transparent. You can spook your neighbors. That never happened.
Yeah, I see what you're saying there. Like how like there's ghost myths like everywhere around the world kind of deal. Or you can also just kind of see that as it's something so basic, right? That, you know, it's just dead people coming back. That's all it is. And, you know, that's something that's everywhere basically.
Yeah, I guess it's kind of interesting because like we're both coming at this from,
Yeah.
we're both
Yeah,
coming
we
at this from a very indifferent opinion. A very maybe. Like I expected either of us to have a hard stance on it. I mean I knew my stance going into it, but
Yeah, I mean, like, I lean to more the side of, like, there may be something out there kind of deal, right? Just because, honestly, I probably listened to too many episodes of lore.
Well, if anything, he does a decent job explaining why that kind of stuff doesn't exist.
Mm-hmm.
He sometimes
Yeah.
hints at it, but for the most part, he's like, be suspicious. Look at all this
Oh
stuff.
yeah, yeah. But like, it still like kind of puts me in the mode of like, ooh, spoopy things. You know what I mean?
Spooky.
But like, as soon as like I'm removed from it, like I'm like, wait a second, this shit's malarkey.
Malarkey.
That's the word I used, Drew.
Mm-hmm. It. I guess in a way, it's hard to pinpoint one way or another to say like what could be real, what might not be real, that kind of thing. But
Mm-hmm. I mean, if you want, we can go into deep talks about our philosophy of religions.
oh no. That's rule number 2. Rule number 1 is never make that specific noise ever again. Rule number 2 is no religion.
Okay.
We broke the politics thing. That was gonna be a part of rule 2. Didn't happen.
Hey, I broke that episode 1, and I'm glad I did it.
I'm trying to piece it back together like Humpty Dumpty. But
Hey, all your king's men is not going to put this together again. I don't think it was ever together in the first place. I actually think you're trying to put together several different eggs.
it actually they find out that it is actually several eggs that broke, not one man. So they're putting it back together, and they're like, I guess it's one giant man. Put it all back together. He's just some horrible
Yeah. And they're just
fly-like
like, confused.
concoction of things put together. He just screams, "Kill me!" Just like, oh God, what am I?
I'm happy with that analogy for a podcast.
Is that how you describe our podcast? A terrible fly-like amalgamation of pieces of body parts that just keep screaming, "Kill me!"
I mean, we will accept anything as a topic, so yes.
Oh, all right. Well, since we're both so indifferent about that topic, I have a topic that we're not indifferent about. In fact, we
Ooh.
don't really agree. So,
Oh yeah, that's right. We don't agree on this, don't we?
well, I mean, we might find out that we agree more than we think. But
Okay.
what's going on right now, Ant? What's the big hullabaloo in nerddom?
Oh, we're gonna talk about that. Okay.
Well,
E3.
and I'm trying to do an introduction piece, maybe a transition into the topic, so I just don't say, hey, we're gonna talk about paid mods. Yes,
Oh yeah.
E-
Paid mods.
E3 is going on,
Paid mods are going on too.
and you know what happened? Bethesda had a conference. Oh boy,
Mhm.
those boys at Bethesda, they do work. They had a conference this year, and everyone
They
hates
released
them.
Skyrim again.
They, they haven't done it yet. It's happening.
I'm not happy with them, Drew.
Oh, why is that? I have no idea what topic you could be talking about.
Honestly, I'm just talking about them re-releasing Skyrim and not bringing out any new games that don't cost $60 in a monthly membership fee.
Wait, what do you mean?
I'm talking about Skyrim Online or whatever the heck it is. What is it?
Oh,
The,
Elder Scrolls Online.
Yeah, that's not worth my time.
No, and I mean, here's the thing: they have released new games recently. They released Dishonored 2 at the beginning of this year.
Oh, that's right. They do that game, don't they?
Yeah, yes, they do.
I don't know why. I thought that was a different developer. I'm less mad at them now.
It's Arcane. They're the ones who developed the game, but Bethesda publishes it because
Oh, okay.
Bethesda is part publisher, part developer.
Oh, okay.
But and also they released the card game recently. No, actually that came out last year. And they're releasing a new game at the end of this year. But we'll get into that.
I didn't
have
hear
a different.
about that.
We have a different. Did you watch the conference? It was like the last
No.
10 minutes of the conference.
I didn't watch any of the conferences except for the Devolver thing. I just
Oh.
piece things together on Reddit.
All
That's what I
right.
always do.
All right, we're about to have a discussion where Ant has not seen the source material. Here we go. All right,
I love
so
this. I
paid
like fake
mods.
news.
Jesus. So the topic of paid mods.
Yep,
I-
because this is something I can actually talk about.
And how do you feel about not the recent announcement, just in general about paid mods?
I actually like the idea of paid mods.
Okay.
I think it's going to be a genuinely healthy thing for the modding community.
Why is that?
Okay, so here's the thing, right? See, this is all on implementation, right? So if they just charge for every single mod, right? I think that's an object failure of the system itself, right? Because quite frankly, you shouldn't try and monetize every single little thing kind of deal. I feel like who's ever the publisher of the game, right? Sifts through quality mods, right? Kind of deal. It does like mod packs or like, has specific mods that are kind of worth it kind of deal, right? That get genuine support kind of deal, right? That are pretty up to date, all that kind of stuff. And those ones would be worth the price. Like what's a good example? Crap, all the examples I'm coming out with are like for games you don't play and nobody else plays. Like complete overhauls, right? Like okay, so like for Stellaris, right?
Yeah.
There's this mod that does like a full Star Wars. But see, that's the thing, right? You can't do that now because then that's infringing on Disney's property.
You're talking about the one from Sins of a Solar Empire, right? Not Stellaris.
No, they actually have one. Well, yeah, I guess that's one too, right? But Stellaris also has one as well, right? But it's like, when somebody does like a complete overhaul of a game or like, stuff like that, where it kind of changes the modes, all that kind of thing, right? Actually, technically, Tail Worlds did it for Mountain Blade. They did it with the Napoleonic mods. They kind of made them official. Like, they kind of paired them with the game now.
Like fans created this content and then.
Yeah, with the Napoleonic mod and like the Viking Conquest mod. Like those are actually fan created and been officially accepted in the warband kind of deal.
Right. And
like they have the seal of approval of like the actual publisher itself.
Right. And if you were to put it into terms like with Skyrim, there is a mod called Falskar, which is basically an entire new continent for the game. It's basically a brand new world to kind of explore. It's not like, oh, I added a new sword or something like that. It's a full-on content update.
Exactly. Stuff like that. Like, stuff that would be like a genuine addition to the game does not necessarily have to be canon, right? And it could just be something that is that's just fun, right? But has serious work behind it. So it incentivizes the people that actually make those mods to keep making them, Because I feel like that's something that could actually make modders, like, be able to start becoming professional themselves, Having modders as, like, a profession at that point. Like, it's possible.
Almost
but at
like
the moment
a
now, it's just... Well, yeah, but, like, on existing games. Like, you don't always want, like, your studio getting behind something. You want somebody else to do the work, kind of deal. Especially when it's not, like, supposed to be canon with your game or anything like that.
Yeah, Yeah, somewhat. And here's the crazy thing. I agree with you entirely. I agree with you 110% that the idea of paid mods should be embraced.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little disappointed.
Well, okay, no. Hold on, hold your horses.
Okay.
I think it's a good idea to have modders paid because the amount of work that some modders put into their content is basically on the level of what a developer does. And for them not to be paid for their work is almost criminal. It's surprising that, like, honestly, modders have done the work they did for free for so long. As for the love of the games, and believe me, it's crazy what they do, and it's insanely, like... Yes.
Intensive?
It's very well done what they do. But I believe that moving towards paying modders for what they do is a good way to move if the content is worth paying for.
Now, do you think like a model like Nexus Mods is better suited, or do you think actually having like just a straight up mod store like they were trying to do originally through Steam a better model?
So here's the deal.
Or something different?
Here's the deal.
Okay.
This is where I think our opinions will differ. I think what Bethesda is going to try. Now, God knows I don't know any of the details other than what they said in their conference. But essentially, what I believe they're doing is they're making a store for PC and consoles to go to spend money to pick up these mods.
Uh huh.
Now, there are going to be plenty of mods that are good quality, like brand new enemies or a whole new quest line or something like Falskar, which is an entire continent of content, like an incredible amount of content. But at the same time, you're going to get your horse armors and crabs. It I think it's going to be a bit of a rough patch for a while, but it's going to have to be like that, unfortunately.
Okay.
I think, in a way, there's no good way for people to be introduced to paid mods because the argument that I hear all the time is that people don't want to pay for mods because they've always been free.
Yep. I think we talked a little bit about this before, right? We were
Po-
talking about mods a little bit.
Possibly, I think at some point either we talked about it or we talked about it on the podcast. I forget when,
Mm-hmm.
but people have always made the argument that mods are free, so they should always stay free, and they're a community-driven thing, so it should be for the love of the game.
See, I agree with that idea, but like that doesn't mean that has to be everybody. Like I definitely think like there are pieces of work out there that are definitely worth honestly being charged for. But I also feel like they should be sanctioned if they're going to be charged for, you know what I mean? Right?
What do you mean?
Like they should have quality control kind of deal, right?
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
Like they shouldn't be things that are just like any mod can just be charged whatever for that kind. No, like it should definitely be a quality control, probably by, I guess, beta testers from the dev team itself at the home studio. Because I mean, like, I guess that would be their part of things, kind of like the studio itself working with these people. I mean, it's a good way to try and snipe future talent.
Yeah, and I mean, here's the thing. I think that might be what Bethesda is doing. I think
Okay.
they're basically taking mods, and instead of the system before, which was kind of awful, the system before was basically, hey, anyone want to throw up a mod and put a price on it? Go for it.
Yeah.
I think that's a terrible system because you're going to get what happened last time, which was a mix of
Mm-hmm.
terribly produced mods being charged money, or in some cases, mods being stolen and charged money.
Yeah, I mean that's already an issue on a free service, for the workshop.
Right, people taking content, just reposting it.
Yeah,
And
like
I
it's
think
weird.
with a curated store of content, you could easily have a system that introduces paid mods in an acceptable setting.
Yeah, yeah,
I think genuinely if Bethesda's able to do this right, they could make it so that's a store of basically DLC. Like that's the crazy thing I never understood entirely about people's argument against paid mods is that it is essentially smaller DLC. It's not officially sanctioned.
essentially,
It's not
and it
canonical.
doesn't necessarily have to be, yeah, as you just said, canon. But I feel like doing it with Skyrim is just they shouldn't, just because this game has had a history, and I mean a long history of having free content for it. You know what I mean? Like this isn't the game to do it with, you know?
I would argue for and against that. I would argue, in your
Okay.
opinion, yes, it definitely doesn't make sense because the game's been out this long, and everyone who's made a mod for it has made it free at this point.
Yeah.
It's not a like, oh well, we saved the best for last. It's like, no, I mean honestly, at this point, modding for Skyrim has slowed down. It's not as
Yeah, like
it's not
it's
as
kind of hard for them to just like be like, hey, we're gonna start charging for mods that you've had free for 7 years or whatever, right? How long has Skyrim been out?
6 or 7 years. And I feel like it's closer to 6,
Okay,
something like that. But here's the argument against that, though.
okay,
I would be very against doing this for a brand new game because that would
okay.
chop the legs out entirely from underneath of that new game.
Well, you know what? I can agree with that, right? It would probably have to be done a little bit time after the game's been released, right? Like when they would start thinking about putting DLC out for the game, kind of deal, right? But probably not within competition of it. So I guess it would be after the DLC cycle would be done for the game, maybe, because they wouldn't want it to compete with the content it has in the game, right?
It depends. I mean, here's the thing. You could do any number of things. You could make it so that the store exists so people have content in between the big content updates of the actual developer. Like let's say you bought the next Metro game that came out, and
Okay.
they said, "Hey, 6 months from now, oh sorry, 6 months from now, we're going to have a big DLC. We're going to have a huge piece of DLC that's going to be a brand new campaign. But in between, we're going to have this store where fan-made content can go up. It's curated, and you can use that to kind of satiate yourself in between."
Okay.
I could see that. Or I could see them saying, once we're done putting out content, then at that point the community will have plenty of grasp on the tools that we've given them to make for this game. There'll be plenty
Uh-huh.
of time that people have had experience with it. So after we're done releasing content, that's when the store will go up.
Okay.
And I could also see someone saying, hey, as soon as the game releases, we're going to release a store. So as soon as good content comes out of the community, they can immediately put it up and it can immediately reach an audience. I could see all
That's
three of
fair.
those things. But I
If handled poorly.
if handled poorly, yes, it could be bad. But I would also argue that releasing it later makes more sense for the first time this is being done.
I would say so. Yeah.
Because it really comes down to we don't want to poison the well. If we're ever going to do paid mods, ever in the history of gaming, we need to have a good first step.
Yeah, that's fair.
So when you look at it and you say, I want to make a community-driven paid mod market for my game. We want the next wave of this to kind of go well. So them putting into Skyrim, I think, is a decent idea because the game is old enough where content has already been released for it,
Mm-hmm.
and honestly, we haven't even gotten to an important point that I think is really important for this.
What's that?
We've been discussing paid mods in the sense of PC market. We have not discussed paid mods at all for console markets.
Yeah, I feel like that's the only real way to get good mods on the console. Because why would people do that for free? Right? Because pretty much that's where people make mods is on the PC. So why would they just bring them to console
Yeah,
for nothing?
and I mean that's the thing. I feel like
For the
this is a
console,
perfect
it
market
completely makes
for
point.
consoles. And that's
Yeah,
not down talking to consoles because I believe honestly if we do it for consoles we need to do it for PC as well.
yeah, that's fair.
There's
I
there
mean, like you couldn't. I don't think it's possible to even do mods on consoles without having some sort of store.
right.
I mean, like
Well,
there's no reason for people to really. There's no big incentive for them to do it. I guess would be the proper way. Because if you're going to be modding something, you probably have, well, a PC.
yeah, there's very very little modding being done on consoles. I can almost guarantee
Yeah.
that. But the thing I would argue is that Well, first of all, they are releasing mods onto consoles currently. They're
Okay.
putting it up for Fallout 4 and Skyrim currently. But the
How
big
does that work exactly? Do you know? Or
yeah, basically they're doing what I kind of suggested. Um, Bethesda's going through and personally curating the best of it and basically releasing it on console as a market that's completely free. You just pick what
okay,
you want, download it, try it out. If you don't like it, uninstall it. That kind of thing.
that sounds like a good idea.
Yeah, and it's a decent way of doing it, but the problem is that that is a large amount of effort that Bethesda is putting out without a return,
Maybe.
really.
I don't know. I feel like since they're throwing Skyrim onto the newest consoles, it may be good because it wasn't on the older consoles. It gives somebody a reason to pick up the new ones instead of like staying with the old ones.
Yeah,
Especially if they don't use the PC.
in a sense, yeah, but I guess the point I'm ultimately trying to get to is that the the idea of paid mods, I think personally, should happen eventually. It shouldn't
Mm-hmm.
be a free range of whoever wants to put up paid mods, go for it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it should be something carefully curated and selected by the developer,
Okay.
who then can market it and sell it and all that. So the developer and the modder themselves can get paid for their work.
Yeah, that seems reasonable to me.
Yeah, I don't think it's unreasonable at all, but it'll come down to implementation. It'll come down to basically how Bethesda wants to do it and how the players perceive it. And right now, they are not perceiving it very well.
Yeah, that usually what happens when something was free and they're trying to put money on it. That's probably why it's best to do it with a new game and not, the one that's been out for 6 years.
Maybe in a way, but I'm still standing by my argument that an older game is a good stomping ground, is a good testing ground for this kind of thing, rather than a brand new game which can be monumentally hurt by just the inclusion of that.
Maybe, maybe.
Like let's say for instance, they release Elder Scrolls 7, not the Viking one. That's the official title. Elder Scrolls 7, not the Viking. Oh no, sorry, Elder Scrolls 6, not the Viking one.
Okay.
Um, and they say, and on day one, we're going to be including a paid mod market that will be filled with content as soon as players make it.
Also, you know what? I just thought of something, right?
What's up?
It could also be maybe an excuse for developers to get a little lazy. What was the game that launched pretty badly? Was it like Dark Souls 2 or something like that, right?
Uh, you're going
And
to
there
have
was
to
the
narrow it
modder
down.
guy that
It's
and it was the modder guy that came pretty much went in and he was able to fix it pretty easy within like 2 weeks or something.
Oh, you mean Dark Souls 1. Dark Souls
Dark
1 had
Souls
that
1.
problem where it was
Yeah,
released
yeah.
on PC
So
and unfinished. Well, not unfinished,
so
but like
let's say they release Dark Souls 1, right? For instance, like they just release it.
yeah.
Follow me here, okay? And somebody does that 2 weeks in, right? And they then, instead of actually fixing the game, have his patch as a downloadable mod, a paid mod. What would you think about that?
I would be wholeheartedly against it, but the
Okay.
the problem with that is that that gets into my views on the goodwill of a company.
Okay.
That gets into like, oh, how do I feel about this company doing this thing? And
Uh
I
huh.
think that would be an awful step for them to take because essentially it would be saying, hey, we released this game in a crap state, and hey, guess what? You guys
You gotta
need to
pay
pay
more
us
money
to
to
fix
fix
it.
it.
That seems like a complete misfire on every front.
Yeah, that's kind of seems what it would be in in my book too. Like that's something I'm definitely not for. And it is a concern, with that would be an instance of them using mods wrongly.
Right. And that's where I come into basically saying I think if done correctly, if done properly, this could be a way of introducing them well and making them setting a standard.
Mm-hmm.
And doing that, like if they released the next Elder Scrolls and it was a hot mess on everything, and then they said, "Hey, for $1, you can make this game run perfectly," people would be outraged. People would be beyond pissed.
Yep, but I would not put it past a company doing it, though.
Um, I would argue Bethesda's smarter than that, or at least Bethesda.
EA.
Well, I'm talking
Konami.
I'm talking specifically about.
I'm just saying,
Bethesda.
there's definitely companies that would think that's a delicious idea. I'm just throwing that out there.
Yeah. But yeah, that's essentially what I thought. How about you?
Yeah.
I've done a lot of talking.
I've interjected my thoughts on this. I've been sprinkling them in there, you know. I've been seasoning it with my salt,
With your salt.
whatever that means. Anyway,
I guess
but yeah, I mean, in general, I'm pretty for mods. Paid mods. Price points would have to be worked out. Careful handling would have to be done, and pretty much just not trying to treat it like a way to print money would be a good idea.
let me throw a situation your way real quick, just to kind of flesh out your views a little bit.
Okay, that's fine.
Let's
I like these.
let's say did you play Skyrim? Did you enjoy Skyrim?
Yeah. I have a lot of hours on Skyrim.
Let's say Skyrim comes out brand new, like this is not an old product.
Okay.
And they said, "Hey, we're going to be releasing the first DLC content."
Is it horse armor?
Yes, an entire content patch released by a developer 6 months from now. As 6 months from now, we're going to release this content patch for Skyrim. Until then, we're implementing a store.
Okay.
What do you think is the maximum price you would pay for a product on that user-generated store?
I genuinely have no idea. Like, I don't even know what would be appropriate, right? Like, I mean, shit. For Europe Universalis, I pay crazy prices for DLC, and that's just because I love the game so much.
But here's the thing.
Right?
This is not officially made DLC. This is not straight from the developer.
Oh well, no.
This
I understand. Right? But like, I guess I wouldn't go past $15.
Okay.
I would think that would be the upper limit you can charge for a mod kind of deal, without like some serious developer intervention.
I mean, here's the thing with me. I honestly wouldn't pay any more than 5 or 10 for
Really?
user-generated content. And
I know. Thing is, right? Like, I play some games that are that have like complete overhauls to them. Like, it's a completely new game. They've just used the base engine, kind of deal, right?
Mhm.
So, like, things like Europa Universalis, right? They have entire mods that completely rework every little aspect of the game, and it completely changes the game. It's a completely different feel. It's doing the same stuff, right? It's based off the same engine, but they've just built the game differently.
yeah, they've changed Europa Universalis into a collectathon platformer or
No,
a point and click.
No, I'm not saying like that. I'm just saying, like, like they changed the mechanics in such a way that it's the same game, but it's not the same game, right? Like, it would be turning Shovel Knight, right, into a bullet hell.
Right, yes.
Okay? Like, it'd be like that, right? You see what I'm saying now? Or, like, it would be turning Civilization game, right, into a city builder, right? Or, like, it'd be turning, stuff like that.
Right. And I guess even then, even with the greatest mod, I still have myself having an issue paying more than 10 for something like that.
That's fair.
because even though it could be, and here's the thing: I spent a lot of time playing modded games in my life, playing
Okay.
fully implemented games out of mods to an engine, and mods for games in general just being a big part of games I played.
Uh-huh.
But I've never felt the quality and polish of a piece of regular developer content in a mod. It always,
I guess we have two different experiences then.
well, it always feels like modded content has jagged edges, or has something in
Okay.
it that's like, this is a little weird. Like, I know a lot of the mods that came out for Fallout 3 in New Vegas were full quest lines, like, oh, we're gonna go do this thing, but it didn't have voice acting, or it didn't have animations with it,
You
or
see,
it reused
I've come
character
across
models.
mods in Skyrim that have like complete animation overhauls and voice acting and like all that kind of stuff. They definitely have some really built up mods, and you know, the one I was talking about, like for Europa Universalis, it's called Mio and Taxes, right? And it feels almost more polished than the base game, kind of deal. And like, there's plenty of Mountain Blade mods that feel way better than the base game, like hand over fist. Like, you can almost say like unmodded Mountain Blade is almost an unplayable experience at this point, right? Like, there are definitely games where like the mods themselves actually kind of take a huge role in the game itself, right? Just because like the modders are able to bring up to the publisher or developers, you know, standard, and sometimes even surpass it. Like, I've definitely seen that in games. Literally, I could name 5 Mountain Blade mods that are better than the base game. Like, it that are just genuinely, not even like maybe, but genuinely a better game than the base game. Granted, they still have the build off that base engine there, and the engine was built for modding, right? But you definitely feel like the polish is better in some of these mods. Drew?
I guess I can hear that. It's just, I would have to play these mods to understand what you mean with the
Okay,
polish.
that's fair.
And then that gets into a problem of how do I test out these mods without
I
buying
mean,
it.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because my experience has
I mean,
always
like,
been
you would think you can do like the refund thing that you normally can do through Steam.
right. I'm sure there would be a system, but I guess my point is, I already have a natural inherent bias towards
Okay.
this to think that this may be incredible. This might be the best piece of DLC, the best piece of modding ever released for a game.
Mm-hmm.
But 9 times out of 10, there's always a jagged edge that rubs me the wrong way.
That's fair.
Yeah, it's a complicated topic. I don't think we'll solve it today. I don't think we'll solve
Yeah.
it single-handedly.
And we're starting to drag on a little bit.
What? Us drag on.
Yep, that's what we do. Heck, shoot, maybe even next week we'll talk about like full E3 coverage, and I'll actually watch things.
I'm telling you right now, you really should watch some stuff.
I may even watch Wonder Woman by next week.
Oh yeah.
Who knows what'll happen?
Craziness.
Yeah, craziness. We're having a time.
Times have been had.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, this was the blank space. I hope you enjoyed what we filled it in with. It's not sticky.
We filled it in with pizza.
Yep. Gross pizza.
How dare you say it's gross?
It is Little Caesars. It knows what it is.
On that note, goodbye, Little Caesars sponsorship.
It was never gonna happen.
Bye, everybody.